And here we go. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and it is a day out there that's going to be hot. But we're still below the national average. The national average for South Carolina runs about 95 degrees for the month of July. And we are still in about 91, 92 degrees. So we're in compliance with the state average of South Carolina of 95. That is the average for the month of July, and it's always the highest month. July is always the warmest, the hottest month in the state. So we're still below. We're at 91. We're going to be at 91 today, 92, about there. So we're still below the 95. So I'm wondering what all of this nonsense is about being the hottest month. July is always the hottest month in every single state. But no, they have to make it into this big old political drama of being the hottest. Global warming is terrible for the month of July. It always is. Let's get that straight. Listen, I don't know if you switched over or added to your social media account this Threads by Meta. I did. I moved over. Now, let me tell you who's not happy with Threads. The Taliban is not happy with Threads. They say that Twitter has more freedom of speech. So, if there's anybody out there who can say that Twitter's better and it's the Afghan Taliban, I guess that just puts a stamp of approval on everything now, doesn't it? They said that Meta does not provide the amount of freedom of speech that Twitter does. Now, I'm going to agree with them. I hate to say this, but I'm going to agree. And the reason why, when I joined Twitter, there was a report, it was on the national news, and the report said that Twitter was shadow banning and also monitoring what people were saying. And I believe that only because when I posted that notice on Facebook and on Twitter and on Thread, guess what? The amount of people that were seeing me went way down. So it almost went down to zero, to tell you the truth. I mean, even to this day on Instagram and Thread, I'm not getting anybody that's looking at me anymore. Maybe 4 or 5, and that's about it. So maybe they didn't like what I said. Maybe they didn't like what I posted, but that's happened. But on Twitter, they didn't care. They posted it on my site anyway. So maybe I'm in agreement with the Taliban. Maybe Meta is not as free speech as Twitter. I think I've gone to that point. So Taliban, I guess, for one time, I'm in agreement with you. I'm finding the thread just a little bit confusing. I don't find it as flowing as Twitter. So, by the way, I read something else this morning, which I've been telling you about all this time, on car payments, okay? Millennials and Gen Z, this is what the article reads, can't afford their auto loans, and it's only getting worse. Now, I've talked to you about this before, that the highest amount of default, the highest amount of repos are between the ages of 19 and I think it's 29 or 30. I can't remember what it is. But it's getting worse because they cannot afford these $700,000 payments. On average, and this is what the Auto News is reporting, that 3.58% of 18 to 29-year-olds and 2.62% of 30 to 39 have been late on their auto loans by at least 90 days. For some context, let me say that again. I'm misreading again. For some context, just 2.13% of all borrowers are late. Keep in mind, these numbers are overall. In the first quarter of 2023, 4.55% of 18 to 29-year-olds were at least 90 days late. 3.66% of 30 to 39-year-olds were equally late. And then they go on to say that they haven't seen these numbers like these since the Great Recession. So I want you to understand one thing. When you see the government say, oh, our job numbers are great. Those job numbers are low-paying jobs, by the way. They're hotel, they're travel type of jobs. Healthcare was the highest amount of, was the highest level, but all of these other jobs were minimum wage type jobs, and they're not big deal jobs that improve the economy. These are temporary jobs that are going to last over the summer months. I've told you this before. But now we have individuals now that are driving in an economy on cars that are going up for auction very quickly because they're being repossessed, and the dealers and the banks are trying to get their money back, at least a portion of it back, and they're going to take losses. So you are going to see banks taking some losses over the next few months. So when we look at the overall picture of the economy, it's not as strong as you think it is. We have the same problem happening in home loans. We have the same problem happening in commercial real estate. So we have issues that are affecting the banking industry and may also drive some of the banks out of business. If you look at J.P. Morgan, let me find that report that I saw this morning on J.P. Morgan. If I kept it, I might not have kept it. Just one moment, okay? Well, I'm not supposed to have silence during that time, am I? And of course, I did not keep it on my phone. So, once again, I cannot find it, and that really pisses me off when I see a report and I forget to hit save. Well, that is not good. That's not a good podcaster, right? When I do something like that. Oh, I did find it. I found it. So it says Goldman Sachs, not JP Morgan, but Goldman Sachs is about to report its first quarterly earnings, and it's going to be the worst quarterly earnings in years. So that's kind of a sign that's saying, okay, the banking industry are not quite as good as we should feel they are. We should still be worried about what's happening in the banking industry. If you're going to have defaults and repos on cars, same thing on commercial real estate. Remember, I told you about the hotel chain that turned back to the bank 18 hotels. And these are big hotels. Took their key out of the pocket and gave it to them. Remember, I've told you about that. We've talked about that before. But we don't have a sound economy yet. If you're going to look at the unemployment report that comes out in the CPI index, listen, there's bigger problems than that. We have got individuals that are high in consumer debt. They are high in credit card debt. They are high in auto loans debt. They are high in real estate debt. Because they were getting all of this free money from the federal government. They said, oh, I can afford this now. Not thinking in the future that it was going to end. I got all this unemployment benefits, not thinking it was going to end. They thought it was going to go on and on and on forever. And some of them didn't even go back to work. They didn't even go back and fulfill the jobs that they had before. So we have a big problem with Gen X and Millennials that they are not fulfilling their debt. And now they want free education loans to be forgiven. So we have an issue, and I think it's a very important issue that we have to talk about, is that our young people do not understand the responsibility of money, the responsibility of debt, the responsibility of keeping a job and holding a job and making money. They seem to have lost this. They seem to have forgotten, or they have not been trained by their parents and by their schools on the most important aspect of our lives, besides having a personal relationship with God, but they don't know how to understand how to take care of their money. And this really concerns me because we're seeing it more and more every single day. I was reading a article the other day, and this kind of really pissed me off. Okay, this is kind of a pissed off morning, but what made me upset is that it was an article about 6 ways to make extra money. Do you know what one of those 6 ways were? Playing games, gaming on the internet. Now, that is stupid. That's just a game. You're not out there building something or creating something or getting a side hustle or doing all the other stuff excuse me, that needs to be done. Instead, they're playing games. They think they're going to be making money off of it. Now, I have seen that same comment in 3 what you should do for a side hustle. I'll tell you what you need to do. If you really want to make money, and if you really want to have stability, and if you want that second job or that third job, you get real jobs. There's no guarantee that you're going to make money off of playing games. There's none whatsoever. Listen, I have gone and I have looked at all this stuff that people have said, this is how you make money. You can answer these formal questions. You can do all these different things. And every time I tried to do it, it never panned out. It never panned out. And you're doing this for $75, you're doing it for $25. I mean, and people are saying, oh, you can make thousands of money, you can make $3,000 a month. You know what? To do that, you're going to have to do that almost full time because it takes time to go through all those listings of people that want opinions on things. It's a waste of time. Get a real job. There's so many job openings out there. If you want to work at night, you can work in a hotel. If you want to work, if you want to do extra money, you can do Uber. You can do Uber Eats. You can do all kinds of different things that literally pay money that you work for. But these games are not going to pay you this money, okay? It's nothing but nonsense so that they can drive up their people using that game. It's all a joke out there. So if you want to take that joke and be a joke, go ahead and do it. But if you want to go out and make money, enhance your talents. Make sure that wherever you go, you can find work because you have the talent there to do it. You have the insight to know that I can do anything that I put my mind to. I'm constantly learning to do new things. Listen. And if you want to see another thing, I'll put an article down below that individuals 70 and above are now going back to work, and it's the highest number of people that are enhancing the job markets. And companies want them because they've got the experience, they've got the patience, and they've got the know-how. So you guys that are young, you better get your act together because you're just about going to be eaten up by 70-year-olds doing jobs that pay good money. Listen, this is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. And if you would like to sit down with me and have a confidential conversation on business, go to my website and you can book me online at www.lodge-co.com. And if you have a business question, send it to me. I love them. Send it to thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. Okay, let's go out and have a great day. If you have any questions, send it to me. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.